Hello Internet, welcome to the Collective Arcana, a channel all about tabletop gaming. So I've been working on Scanlan, and so far I've just blocked out the color, just to save a little time. These are just flat colors. Wanted to see how to break out the parts, and I thought we could go from here. So I looked at a couple of different things. I looked at the official art, the art from the animated series, and the art from the Vox Machina graphic novels. And I kind of just used all that information to decide how I was going to do this. He doesn't match. This doesn't really match any of those perfectly, so you can just sort of, make up the colors you want to use. I've seen a lot of people, I kind of liked the all purple pants and vest, and then like a light purple for the shirt. I considered doing that. But I wanted to stay a little closer to the graphic novels, so I'm going to do black pants. But I did paint these, you can't really see it yet, but these little pleats here, I did paint that purple, and his vest is purple. And then I thought I would just do white for his shirt and brown for his boots, because that's what I saw in a lot of the art. And of course he's got his raspberry beret, which we're going to tone down a little bit. Alright, so I just want to start with the lighter colors first because they're harder to, paint over dark colors. So this way we can paint with the light colors and then clean up with the darker colors as we go. So for a shirt, I'll just do a little gray ink wash to bring out the folds of the fabric so that they have a little more depth. And this is just a, standard gray. So you can see that arm compared to the other. Just a little something. You don't want this to be too dark, or else it'll just look messy. I'll just add some of that white back in with a controlled dry brush. I've got almost all of it off my brush. The tripod's in the way. Just gonna layer it up here a little bit. Okay, so I'm gonna brighten up his purple with this sort of plummy color, little redder tint to it. So right now he's got just a flat, regular purple base coat. And I'm just gonna layer this on top of that, so I've got it pretty watered down. I just want to layer it up. Because with the light colors, they tend to not look so great if you put them on thick. Even the white that I layered up here, I did several light layers of it, and it still doesn't look great. It still looks a little chalky. Okay, I'm lightening up this purple with pink now. It's still going to be purple. I just wanted to make it a little brighter. We all know Scanlan's a little extra. So it needs to be really vibrant, bright purple, and just putting this pink over it's going to help bring it out a little bit more. So I don't mind the pleats being a little pink because they've actually got a pattern in them, just like a crisscross pattern. And I'm going to go through and detail that. So the bright pink actually will probably look a little bit better. I think the purple will get lost. And I'll probably just do that with black. And from far away, it'll probably look purple. So I'm going to outline the vest and stuff in this like gold color. So I'm going to go back in detail further. But I wanted to go ahead and build up that purple before I moved on. And I typically do the bigger spaces first and get them out of the way, and then I go into detail, and then I add in shadows or whatever I need to do. I haven't actually put any black paint on his pants yet because it's just primer right now, so I'll go ahead and do that. And I'm going to be lining the pleats out as well with the gold. I always do the weapons last just because they're usually on the outside of everything, and they get hit with all sorts of colors. And I don't want to have to worry about being careful around them. It's just too much effort. So I'm not going to touch those yet. So for his boots, they're just brown leather. So I'm going to go ahead and, while I've got the black out before it dries up, I'm going to water my black down, and I'm just going to ink wash them really fast. And then we'll highlight them up a little bit too. It looks like there might be a little seam line, flash line here on the inside of his shoe. You can't really see it. And that's something I didn't really talk about, but always clean up the flash lines. I didn't actually have a ton to do for him on prep. His arm did have a gap, and I did fill that in. I'll throw up a picture really fast. But other than that, he was in pretty good shape. I didn't have to do a whole lot. There was some on his, base and things like that, but none that were actually ruining the sculpture like they did for poor Vax. Okay, so while his boots are drying, we can move on. Let's go back to his pants. Let's see if my gray is dried up. It's not. Okay. I know I should be using a wet palette. I've heard really good things about them. I even have one. But I'm really messy, and I need the little compartments because I make a mess and then I lose all my colors, and it's just bad. All right, let's highlight his little treasure here, the cube. He doesn't need a lot of highlights back here because he's got, shadows being cast over with his loot and stuff, so I'm not gonna highlight that really. I'm only highlighting where I think light would hit. Okay, so now I've got those in, so I'm gonna go back in and add the shadows back. I'm sure I'm using too many steps here, but this is just sort of my style, so we all have to come up with our own ways of doing things, and don't get too hung up on if you're doing it right or not, because there's no right way to do stuff like this. Okay, I did go ahead and finish him off camera just because it would not focus because he's so tiny, but I wanted to point out where some of the detail was on this sculpt to just kind of help guide you for when you go to paint him. So first of all, he does have these pleats, and they are lined, so you can choose to outline those with a certain color if you want. You don't have to do this, but I think it gives it a lot more detail, makes it look more intricate, and that's fun on a mini so small. And of course he's got a belt, and on his belt he's got a couple little metal pieces. You could probably find those with a dry brush, but they're real small. I don't know if you can see that or not. He's so tiny. I don't know if there's actually two on this side, but I put two on this side. I know there's at least one. Sometimes you just have to make it up as you go. Let's see. His vest does have buttons, 3 to 4. I can't tell if the one on the very, very end is one or not, but so I only really saw them on the one side, which makes sense. So I just added those, and I went ahead and outlined the vest as well, just to break up the color. And then I just want to show you where his ear was in case you had a little trouble finding it too. Let's see. I think that one was pretty easy. This one though, I had to kind of draw in a little bit. It was kind of unclear. Honestly, this was the only issue I really ran into with this sculpt, was this one ear. Everything else was pretty clear. I'm pretty impressed considering how, Vax went. And Vax is a much bigger mini, so the fact that he's got so much more detail is kind of interesting. And then moving on to the back here, he's, you know, pretty straightforward back here, nothing too crazy going on. He's got his lute and his flute, and so for his sword sheath, I went ahead and did that in a gray color so that it would contrast. I wanted to do black, but I thought it might get lost if I did black. And then for the strings on the lute, so there are a couple ways you can do this. You can paint them all white, or, you know, a light color, and then just ink wash them, but that could get muddy. You could do that and then dry brush, but you'd have to have a very controlled dry brush. And, you know, of course, you know me, I went in and just painted them. I actually think it's sometimes easier to just go in and paint individual details than fighting with the dry brush, a controlled dry brush. It's really not that hard to do small detail like this if you have a very tiny brush. It took me quite a while to get a brush that I liked and that I could work with, but as soon as I got it, it was a game changer for me. I was able to do eyeballs and all sorts of stuff that I wasn't able to pull off before. So, you know, I had to order my brush. I had to try several before I found one that worked for me. So, I didn't like any of the ones in the craft store. So, I don't know. If you do struggle with that, maybe I can show you the ones I use, or maybe you can find some in your craft store. But it took me a while to find the one that belonged with me, I guess. So, I also used it to do the black pattern on the pleats here in the pink, and it makes things so much easier. So yeah, he doesn't have a lot of crazy hidden detail like, say, Percy did on his belt or anything like that, or a keyless odd dress top. But I just wanted to do a quick video anyway, because he does have a little bit of you know, buttons and stuff that I wanted to point out. And I'm going to put this up on the blog, put some pictures up so you can reference. In case you didn't know, all of these tutorials that I do also have a blog. So if you'd prefer to read while you paint, or just have pictures that you can look at, you can just go on there. I'll put it in the description where you can find it. I have a whole gallery and stuff too, so hopefully that'll help you out. I know that some of these sculpts are not the best, and they can get a little confusing on where things are supposed to go. But that's all I really needed to say for Scanlan here. I'm going to be getting Pike out next, get her painted up. I'm really excited. I've seen some complaints about her, so I'm kind of curious to get in there and see if mine is in good shape or not. It looks fine to me on the outside, but Wyatt said that he thought she looked a little funny, especially her arm, so we'll see how it goes. So anyway, thanks for watching. Give us a subscribe if you're into this. Check out the playlist if you're working on all these, and see if the one that you're working on is on there if you're having trouble with any part of it. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.